Residents of 4 blocks near Geylang Serai Market will be tested for COVID-19 after viral fragments were found in wastewater samples. On the first day of Phase 2 heightened alert, wet markets, hawker centres and coffee shops all go quiet. And devastating scenes from China's Henan province as floodwaters show no signs of receding. Hello, I'm Haryanto Diman. You're watching The Big Story live in the Straits Times newsroom. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss a single episode. A St. Joseph's Institution student fell from height in school today and was taken to hospital. Police said they do not suspect foul play. Police received a call at 11:39 a.m. for assistance at the school as a male teenager had fallen from height, and the Singapore Civil Defence Force took the boy to KK Women's and Children's Hospital. In a letter addressed to parents and guardians, SJI Principal Reverend Father Dr. Adrian Danker confirmed the incident, but he said that as police investigations are currently ongoing, the school is unable to provide more details. Dr. Danker added that some students witnessed the incident and the SJI pastoral team and counsellors have attended to them. Parents are understandably concerned about their children's well-being in view of this incident, and he urged them to not monitor if they may be in distress. According to the Auditor-General's office, the rollout of a national fitness challenge by the Health Promotion Board was found to have wasted $5.39 million of public funds due to unused stocks of fitness trackers. Following a full stock count in January this year, HPB found an excess of 341,000 trackers. The audit also highlighted lapses in other agencies, including the Public Service Division for possible overpayment of $500,000 to erroneous claims, and the Ministry of Culture, Community and Youth for possible irregularities in records furnished for audit. Responding to the AGO's report, the Finance Ministry said it takes irregularities in records submitted for audit seriously and stressed that the government has no tolerance for fraud and corruption. Meanwhile, the People's Association has taken immediate steps to review the management of contracts for our Tampines Hub and Heartbeat at Bedok to address the lapses identified and initiate rectification of any over or underpayments. This follows the AGO's findings that there were several lapses and possible irregularities related to the PA's management of both large development projects. As the lapses relate to serious allegations involving falsification of documents, including in relation to claims by external parties, the PA has also lodged a police report and investigations are ongoing. Meanwhile, as part of new measures to strengthen support for migrant domestic workers here, the Manpower Ministry said today that employers will be required to give their helpers one compulsory day off each month that cannot be compensated with cash. New helpers will also be interviewed twice in their first year of work and undergo checks by employment agencies after their placement. Their compulsory medical examination every 6 months will also be enhanced to pick up signs of abuse. MOM said the changes will be implemented from the third quarter of this year, with a compulsory rest day taking effect by the end of next year. An update on the COVID-19 situation here. The Health Ministry has preliminarily confirmed 162 new cases in the community. 87 are linked to the Jurong Fishery Port cluster, which now stands at 541 cases. 5 cases are connected to the KTV cluster, which now logs 220 cases in total. MOH said of the 162 cases today, 59 are linked to previous cases and have already been placed on quarantine, while 51 were detected through surveillance. 52 are currently unlinked. Amongst the cases are 6 seniors above 70 years who are unvaccinated or partially vaccinated and are at risk of serious illness. Further details will be released tonight. Testing is currently underway for residents of 4 HDB blocks in Sims Avenue. This comes after viral fragments were detected in wastewater samples collected from the blocks. The Health Ministry said today that it's investigating likely COVID-19 transmission at blocks 842, 844, 846 and 848 Sims Avenue. These blocks are located near Geylang Serai Market. The mandatory testing is conducted at the pavilion of 3 Geylang Serai today and tomorrow between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Visitors and those who have come in contact with the residents between July 6th and 20th may also volunteer for testing, but this will only be on an appointment basis. Singapore enters Phase 2 heightened alert today with markets across the island implementing mandatory Trace Together check-ins for visitors. This as the government rushes to contain ongoing transmissions that emerged from the Jurong Fishery Port cluster. Multimedia journalist Kimberly Zhao found this report from Telok Blangah Crescent Market.
Empty stalls, lowered shutters, few customers. At 8 a.m., only a vegetable stall at Telok Blangah Crescent Block 11 saw a queue. According to its regulars, this is a drastic change from the activity usually seen at the wet market.
The crowd is very less compared to the 2 days ago. I think everybody is afraid and then they are at home.
I always tend to go to the fruits market, and now I don't go there anymore. I go to the nearest stall near our apartment for that. Both COVID, it's inconvenient because now they put some barriers for you to easily access the market.
My mom is elderly. I'm staying with my mom. So she doesn't know app. She only got a token. And she's afraid to come down and lost the token, you see. So it's a bit on the inconvenient part for them lah.
是最好的啦，因为有这种防备啊这些嘛。不过我们这边都没有那种机器给我们 scan 那个追踪器，觉得有一点奇怪，很舒服这样。你这样等于你干脆就不用弄了，不用围起来嘛。你围的一大圈，就是这个出口要给人家 scan 的嘛哦。他都没有那个设备，你用那个人坐在那边做什么？
On July 20th, the Ministry of Health announced that interim fencing and Trace Together check-ins will be required at all wet markets and food centres, not just those that have seen COVID-19 cases. This comes after the emergence of the Jurong Fishery Port cluster, which by Wednesday night had spread to 41 markets and food centres. This includes Telok Blangah Crescent.
At least 50% has affected our business. Because these are perishable things which you can't keep for very long, you see. Sometimes I go and do part-time job, you know. I can't depend on, after the pandemic, I can't depend. The government has given us the grant of not we paying rental, you see. It's the only thing we absorb the electric, water and PUB bills, you know. But we need to survive even.
While the caution observed by customers is welcome in the face of rising cases, the concern now is how the current situation will further affect livelihoods. Kimberly Zhao for the Straits Times.
In other non-COVID-19 news, schools in Singapore have reached out to students and parents to offer psychological support following the alleged murder of a 13-year-old boy at River Valley High School on Monday. The Straits Times understands that several principals spoke about the incident during school assemblies on Wednesday to help students make sense of what happened. Whether it's shock, confusion or fear that one may feel in the aftermath of a traumatic event that was out of their control, there are ways to cope with the overwhelming emotions. Let's talk about this with the psychologist Dr. Geraldine Tan. She is the director and principal psychologist of the therapy room. Welcome to the show, Doctor. What kinds of psychological support can schools offer to help their students manage with the after effects of a traumatic event like what happened at River Valley High School?
Thank you for having me. Many schools have already started, and I'm very pleased to say that many of them have town hall addresses to their students or for their students. You know, they're not hiding it. They're calling a spade a spade. They are permitting the children to talk about it, to emote about it. They are even permitting the school teachers to talk about it because we all feel a lot of different emotions. And with a news like that, there are a multitude of emotions that washes through each one of us, and we need to have space to talk about it. So that first step is already very fantastic. And I think there are schools putting in place a psychological help. The counselors are on standby. My team and I are on standby for some schools also, because there might be other effects of what had happened on Monday.
Doctor, so on one hand, there is the support from school. On the other hand, it's back at home. What about parents with teenage children? How should they approach the topic?
Okay, so it sends shockwaves through all of us or to all of us, right? And parents are feeling very unsafe. Children are feeling very unsafe. Parents are encouraged to speak openly about it because it's all over the news. Speak to your children about some of their discomforts. Parents also are very concerned if their children have faced bullying incidences. Okay, so now they are a bit more hyper vigilant, which is one of the symptoms that of trauma, really. And we want to address it so that it doesn't peak or it doesn't paralyze us. The fear doesn't paralyze us. Parents can encourage or use this as a learning and teaching moment to tell them about mental health, to tell them about the dangers of not communicating about their emotions and bottling it up. I actually use that as a teaching moment to say about talk about like gaming, perhaps, especially the more violent games, to talk about having adequate sleep. A sleep deprived brain can lead to a lot of difficulties. So parents can pick up on all these different topics and themes to talk to the children, and also to let them know that the school authorities, the schools will try their utmost best to keep them safe. I think a lot of chatter about whether the schools are safe, how can this happen? Some of the students that I've spoken with, they have been saying that they are really afraid to go to the toilet now, and what we've done is go in groups, go in pairs, but if you need to go to the toilet, please go to the toilet. Don't just keep it until the end of the day. And last thing that I want to remind everyone, even the children, is do not speculate. Please refrain from doing that because it just grows bigger, right? If we speculate and we don't have all the details. So don't speculate and don't scare yourself.
Good point, Doctor. Doctor, some of us may have experienced traumatic events in our lives, like losing a loved one or witnessing a violent crime. What is your advice to anyone on how to cope with such traumatic events?
Well, we look at the triangle of trauma: the avoidance, the alertness, the anxiety, and this triangle is what we can use as a frame to help us to address. If you do face any one of these, you probably would need to speak with someone, especially if you have any of the depressive symptoms, you have flashbacks, you have nightmares. Do talk to someone about it. Those that are with you, around you, feel free to check in with them. I think it is okay. We feel very worried or embarrassed, like we should not be feeling these emotions, but that's not true. Emotions are real. Emotions are there to tell us that our body is uncomfortable. So we need to respond to it. and not run away from it. I think it is also important that the undue pressure we put on ourselves, especially if we think we should not be feeling or we should not be addressing it, will then bring about more stress for our body. I think for this particular case, right, we should look at the secondary trauma for all the students, the parents, the teachers, and those that are involved, and all of us, and to recognize that we need to deal with our own traumas, because death brings about a lot of different sort of emotions, and it re-triggers any sort of past issues that we might have. We have students, that have been bullied before, adults that have been threatened before, and it re-triggers all these memories, and we can react to these memories, the heightened anxiety that we have. I also do want to highlight that there might be copycat behaviors that we should look out for, because for the brain that is so confused, we might think that, it is a cool thing to do. No, it's not a cool thing to do. But the brain is so confused and in shock that, they might pick up the behavior and then mimic the behavior. So also having to look out for that.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Tan. We've been speaking to the Director and Principal Psychologist of the Therapy Room, Dr. Geraldine Tan. Now, if you or you know someone who need to talk to, here are some organizations you can reach out to. Do take a screenshot. Looking overseas, tens of thousands more people were being evacuated from China's flood-stricken Henan province today as the death toll rose to 33 people. More cities were inundated and crops destroyed as the severe weather spread northwards. The official Xinhua news agency reported direct economic losses of 1.22 billion yuan or 257 million Sing dollars so far. The Provincial Weather Bureau also raised the storm alert for 4 cities in the north of Henan to red, the highest tier of a 4-step color-coded weather warning system. China correspondent Wei with the latest on the disaster.
What we know so far is that 33 people have died in the deadly floods in Henan in central China, and 8 people are still missing according to local government statistics. Hundreds and thousands of people have been relocated. What has really captured the nation's attention is a submerged subway that has claimed the lives of 12 people. 4 others have died in landslides in Gongyi, in another county. 8 so far has been given, with the army and firefighters stepping in from other provinces to help Henan, which has been beleaguered by floods over the past few days.
Finally, after a year-long delay, the Tokyo Olympics officially opens tomorrow. And some of our Team Singapore athletes have been giving us a glimpse of life inside the athletes' village, like this fantastic view from the room of swimmer Kwa Ting Wen. But all's not rosy though for shuttler Lo Kian Yu. Now you can see right here, he is at the back of a very long queue to do laundry. From results and news to interviews and profiles, you can already find the Straits Times' Olympic coverage at this microsite. We'll also be speaking with our colleagues at the sports desk throughout the games, and that all starts tomorrow. It's Thursday, which means we check in with our colleagues at Live. We are back in Phase 2 heightened alert, and it's frustrating, I know. Sometimes a staycation can serve as a much-needed escape. But if you're lacking the time for an overnight stay, a daycation may work just as well. Well, let's find out more about the daycation trend with travel correspondent Clara Lock. Hi Clara. Clara, while some hotels do offer hourly or even day use accommodations, daycations aren't confined to hotels because other platforms now are consolidating more than just hotel daycation options. What are some quick escape alternatives?
So one of the platforms that has recently come up is called Day Away, and what they do is work with hotels to curate vacation packages where you don't just get a hotel room, you get, fun things that you can do for the afternoon or for the day. So for example, Raffles Hotel offers an afternoon tea suite vacation. So you get high tea, Singapore slings, discounts at the spa. And then other hotels like Andaz, for example, has unique packages like champagne and mahjong package. So you get, in addition to the room and champagne and snacks, of course, you get a 2.5-hour mahjong lesson, which is great if you've always wanted to learn the game and you never got a chance. And some hotels also offer meal credits, so that gives you the flexibility to order what you want from their in-room dining menu or their restaurants prior to Phase 2 Heightened Alert. And Day Away has said that in the previous Heightened Alert season, some of these packages were really popular because people wanted to go out and just enjoy themselves and have a meal somewhere other than their own home.
Well, Clara, you got me at mahjong. But aside from the time factor, what else has contributed to the growing popularity of daycations?
So some people who enjoy daycation say they like the convenience of it, especially if you're a family with young kids, and going for a staycation for one night or a couple of nights will entail a lot of logistics like packing, and then when you come back you have to do laundry. So daycations mean that you have a lot less things to bring, so it's more convenient. And also for parents who want to get a break, and maybe have their other half take care of the kids for the day, it's a lot easier to get away for the afternoon than it is to be away the entire night. And in fact, the founder of Day Away says that this was one of the things she wanted to do for herself, and that's why she realized there would be a market there. But it's not just leisure that people are booking day use rooms for. Some people book it to get work done if their home environment is not super conducive, or people want to have a celebration like a bachelorette party or an engagement party, or they want to do a photo shoot. So a founder of another of these platforms called Stayer says that they're currently in the process of educating people about the different ways that you can use day use rooms, and hopefully the trend will catch on here.
Thank you, Clara. That was travel correspondent Clara Lock. You can check out her daycation recommendations on straitstimes.com. Out in cinemas today is a female-focused thriller, Gunpowder Milkshake. Interesting title. It centers on 3 generations of hit women who join forces to conquer a powerful crime syndicate. Film correspondent John Lui has reviewed it for the Straits Times, and he's here to share more. John, in your review, you said it's easy to dismiss this action flick as a John Wick franchise copy. But with a female-driven cast, now a few weeks ago you said the heroine-led Black Widow's sting is mild. So does Gunpowder Milkshake hit the bullseye?
Well, I wish I could tell you it does, but let me just put it in context. Like John Wick, it is a fantasy world where assassins roam and gangs rule, and they all have specific rules of engagement. John Wick, there are things you can do, things you cannot do. You have rules here and you have rules there. Same thing with Gunpowder Milkshake. It's mostly women, and where it differs from John Wick is in 2 aspects, okay? It's a more emotional film than John Wick. This one has strong family relationships in it. There is an orphan that gets picked up and that needs to be cared for, and Karen Gillan, who plays the chief assassin, has a kind of a childhood trauma with her mother, played by Lena Headey, that she needs to come to terms with. And the second part where it's different from John Wick is that its action is more stylistic, it's more stylized. In John Wick, they got these really rough, hard hits, hardcore hits, and kicks and all that. This one, there's gun action, but it's very stylized, it's set to music, it's almost like a music video. So if you're into hardcore action, I'm afraid this one won't satisfy. There are plenty of action scenes, but they're stylish, stylized action scenes.
Thanks, John. You can watch Gunpowder Milkshake in the cinemas from today. Now remember, in Phase 2 Heightened Alert, you can only go to the movies in pairs and you're not allowed to consume any food and drink. Speaking of F&B, food correspondent Eunice Quek has been checking up on what past contestants of Masterchef Singapore have been up to. Some have gone on to venture into their own F&B businesses here, but as we know, the whole industry has been struggling. So Eunice, you've been in touch with 3 contestants. Derek Cheong, who is the winner of the 2nd season. How has he kept his businesses afloat amid the pandemic?
So the thing is that Derek has a few things going on, so that's good for him, because currently a few things are on hold. So one of them being that actually he has been working at French restaurant Miraz's pop-up at Mandala Club, which is currently affected obviously by the no dining in restrictions. So then he's back to doing research and development for his private dining outfit 12 Flavors, which he started in 2019. That is also currently on hold actually in light of the pandemic. But he's still running his kombucha business called Brew, and that started in January this year. And both brands are actually meant to work together, where the kombucha is paired with the food at 12 Flavors. So a lot more work going on there, and that's good for him. A couple of other MasterChef contestants that I spoke to are actually, I would say, doing pretty well despite the current situation. Genevieve Lee of Sour Bomb Artisanal Bakery, which started last year as a home-based business, has opened its first store in Dhoby Ghaut earlier this month. And then you also have Aaron Wong of Jiak Song Mi Hun Kueh, his hawker store. He actually opened a 2nd outlet in Bedok a few weeks ago. So both of them have actually been seeing pretty long queues so far, and so I believe the MasterChef fame has definitely helped them for sure. The only thing is that it can be kind of a double-edged sword because people's expectations are really high. They are not spared any criticism, especially when it comes to impatient people in queues. And so it'll be interesting to see once the honeymoon period is over, how they are able to maintain a regular base of customers.
Well, thank you so much for coming on to the show, Eunice. That was food correspondent Eunice Quek. The Friday pages in tomorrow's paper will have more weekend picks from my colleagues at Live. Visit straitstimes.com for more news and videos, and subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting the red button below. I'm Haryanto Diman. See you tomorrow on The Big Story.